All right, check 1 2, check 1 2. Do I have audio? Yes, that looks okay. Let me see. Steven, I see you, DJ Stevie. And we got DJ Eris from Belize. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Share the Knowledge podcast for DJs. My weekly Q&A is back after a hiatus, couple of weeks off due to some different things, including totally working on the studio, fixing my computer, and all that good stuff. DJ 6, what's going on? But this is my weekly Q&A for DJs every Monday, and from now on, I'm back on Mondays, so you can catch me here every Monday. Brian, what's going on? Steven, I see you. Salute to all of you. And we got Anir, DJ Anir in the building. Yes, sir, I see you. So you can find me here, and we can talk about DJing. You can ask your DJ-related questions, and we can just have some fun, chop it up a bit. So we got OKC in the building. We got Belize. A lot of different places in here. So I see my YouTube people. I see my people on Twitch coming in. And if everything is correct, I have my people on Facebook tuning in as well. What's up to y'all? And the people on LinkedIn. Yes, I see my people on Facebook are here. We got 26 on Facebook, 17 on YouTube. I know that's going to grow in a sec. Twitch is waking up now. Oh, yeah, and I have X open also, Twitter. But you can't see how many people are watching on Twitter. And I can't see how many are watching on LinkedIn either, but that's okay. So the studio's finally getting back to where it needs to be. We got DJ M Square with that follow. I see you. I appreciate you. And fonts for you. Yes. I love working with stems. Absolutely love it. I was a fan when it was first introduced to me through Algorithm DJ. And I know Algorithm DJ and Virtual DJ were the first. I'm not exactly sure who was first. I know they came out with that feature in the same year. It was still kind of low key. And of course, once Serato adapted it, it kind of blew up now. And now you hear a lot of DJs talking about stems. I will have to add the stem feature in Serato does sound really good. Algorithm's version does not sound as good yet, but I'm sure as for every other brand out there, same with Pioneer, for instance, they will all continue to make better versions. But I love using it. I have really incorporated that as part of my mixing style now. I can't see myself now DJing without stems. Of course, there will be sets where I won't have the option. If I'm doing a set on CDJs with a flash drive, or if I'm using real vinyl, stems are not an option. But okay, if I know it's not an option, I'll just turn that off in my head and I'll just DJ the way I know how to DJ. But if I have the option to incorporate stems, I just feel it gives you the opportunity to make certain mixes cleaner, because you can eliminate just certain parts of the song. Either just take the entire drums out, or take a vocal out, or single out the vocal. That stuff is amazing to use. And in some cases, you want to do a blend, but you know that both parts, both songs will have vocals, and vocals over vocals usually don't match. So then it's great to have that option to just turn a vocal off. Love using it. And anytime you'll tune in to see my live streams, by the way, back on Thursday with Certified Bangers, back on Sunday with the Sunday sessions, you'll hear me use stems. Rolando is in the building as well. Great to be back. And Mixmaster G will be joining me on one of my episodes very soon. We talked a couple of weeks ago about getting you on, but I haven't done any shows in the last couple of weeks. And I have not had a chance to even test your new, how should I call it? I don't want to call it a plugin, your newest release. So Mixmaster G has a lot of great releases for DJs. Shout out to the wifey, by the way, I see you. And your latest is all about organizing your music and cleaning up the collection. I'm going to keep it at that, like finding doubles and all that good stuff. I'm not going to talk about it more now because I have to try it out. But in order to make sure you totally understand what it can do, I'm going to have Mixmaster G on in the coming weeks. It's called the Record Box Collection Tool. And he just told me about the features it has, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the one I've been waiting for. So we'll talk about that very soon. Greg Rubin in the building. Salute. DJ Big Scully in the building. And Big Scully says, when I do mixes with stems, I also use pitch for making the vocal sound better with the tempo changes. Okay. Yep. Win Williams says, did you ever find out if you could beat juggle with that Hercules controller? No, actually, no. I have had no time to test any gear at all. Official release, DJ was the first virtual DJ, followed it the same week. Mixmaster D, thank you. See, I knew they came out with stems about the same time. By the way, Algorithm DJ calls it Neural Mix. I'm not sure what Virtual DJ calls their version, but they were the first. So, okay, Algorithm DJ was then officially the first. And we got DJ Tapai in the building as well. Shout out to you. And who did I miss? We got Super Duty in the building. Michael Felder, I see you. Salute. And Steven, let me give you that quick explanation. Of course, that is very important. I'm talking about stems, but not all of you are familiar with stems, maybe. So stems, normally, if we're talking about the creation of music and you're making a song in the studio, you will have the music. Maybe it's being played by musicians. Maybe it's made on a computer. You'll have a singer or vocalist, a rapper, laying down vocals. And when you're mixing the song in the studio to make it sound right, you'll have all of your sounds separate. So you'll have your vocals separate. You'll have your drums all separate. So you'll have a hi-hat, a snare, you name it. At the end, you can have a couple of different tracks. One with just the drums, one with the bass, one with the melody, one with the vocals. And those are all called stems. And normally the final version of the song will be all of those stems put together. And for the longest time, us DJs, we were only able to play the music. And I remember people asking me in the past, like, hey, could you make an acapella? You have that song. Could you make it an acapella? I was, no, of course I can't do that. I don't have the stems. I don't have the studio version. I just have the final song. And now we have the ability in DJ software to actually separate the track again. So you can separate the track into vocals, drums, bass, and let's call it melody. It's a little bit different. Serato can divide it into 4. Pioneer Record Box DJ has a version that will divide it into 3 different ones. Neural Mix by Algorithm also does 3, if I'm not mistaken. But that will allow you, for instance, to play a song, and right there while you're DJing, you can decide, okay, I just want the vocal. I'm going to turn this song into an acapella right now, and then you can just turn off the rest of the beat and just keep the vocals there. So that opens up the door for creativity while you're doing your mixes. And just think about how you can make remixes on the fly, mashups on the fly, all that sort of, all those sorts of things are great to do. And stems allow you to do that. And just to reiterate, because I mean, I'm already used to it now, but I still see people's faces weekly if I'm anywhere with a DJ set and I just show them like, hey, do you know that we can do this now in our DJ software? Real time, no processing ahead of time. I can click a button while I'm playing and do that. I mean, it's easy for us to get used to stuff now, but sometimes you have to just sit still for a second and realize like it's absolutely crazy what we can do with our music nowadays. All right. I saw a couple of people. Larry, shout out to you. LA the DJ. Cliff Gillespie, shout out to you. DJ Shaky is here. What's going on? And DJ Iceman, shout out to you. How much do you charge for music? Iceman, in what way? Do you mean as in if I sell beats and how much I would sell them for, or to sell music from my music collection? So let me know in the chat what you mean by how much I charge for music. And Rolando, when it comes to speakers, I have no idea. So for all my mobile DJs in the chat, any of you have thoughts on Evolve 50? I don't even know which kind of speakers those would be. That's just not my forte. I know nothing about mobile DJ setups, especially when it comes to speakers. So hopefully we have people in the chat that can help out with that. We got DJ Garrick's Mixtapes and Entertainment. Shout out to you. And Larry says, I have the NS7 Mark III. That is a beast. Why all of a sudden my laptop started showing the circle like it was working / busy. Then my laptop just stopped in the middle of DJing. You think it's the laptop? Really hard for me to tell. My first guess would be yes, but I have no idea what that could be. That could be a million things. DJ Temmie says, is there a way to tell with Serato stems? Wait. Is there a way to tell with Serato stems once track has been analyzed without trying it out? Hope that makes sense. No, not totally. I'm trying to translate this question. Is there a way with Serato stems once track has been analyzed? No, try to rephrase that for me. I'm trying to understand the question, but I'm not understanding the question. And Brian has a question. I have an Asus or Asus, as some people say, gaming laptop, 16 gigs of RAM, and in the process of switching to video only and from an external hard drive to an SSD drive. Using Serato Video, would this help with stems performance? I don't know. I don't see how it would help with stems. No, I have no idea. You should test that out. I have no idea. I mean, if you start to use video only, that's going to be more a GPU thing, not a CPU thing. Wherein I think that for stems, it's probably more the processor that's being tasked with that. But I have no idea. No. And going from an external hard drive to, I hope you mean an internal SSD drive. I mean, internal SSD, I think would be the way to go. But I don't know if that's going to improve the stems performance. When mixing and mastering a song, I don't have the data I use RipX to get stems just to create a better sounding version of a song. I mean, there are a lot of different options to create stems outside of DJ software. You have software on the computer that can do that for you. You have online services that do that. I have not seen like an overall comparison to see which service / software will give the best results when it comes to stems. So I've not used RipX, for instance, so I don't know how they sound. But I'm pretty sure it's very different depending on which software you use. And Serato stems work well, but it's definitely not with all songs. It's definitely, it depends per song. With some songs, it sounds okay. Some songs, it sounds really good. And if you, for instance, if you use Rekordbox DJ, then once in 100 songs, it sounds okay and the rest does not sound good at all. And I've tested RX. I've used RX to make stems. And even with RX, it's sometimes hit or miss. And I've used one of those online services or two as well. And they gave me pretty good results. But I need to check RipX as well. Sven, wie geht's? Let's see. All right, Mixmaster G says, I can second using RipX is still better than the best real-time stem creation. And I mean, that makes sense. Like I said, using software or an online service where you upload, it has to process, and then you get stems back, it should deliver a better performance compared to something that's doing it real time while you're DJing. So for sure. But for me, because I don't know ahead of time what I'm going to play, it's just great to have that option while you're playing freestyle to still create something on the spot. But if I was going to record a new mixtape ahead of time and I can like select all my songs and everything, I might choose to also make certain stems ahead of time if I find that the DJ software is not giving me great quality for that song. Then I might want to try a different solution. DJ Kylos, shout out to you. DJ Iceman music collection. Okay, that's a simple answer for me. I don't sell my music collection. So I don't have a number for you because I don't sell my music. First off, you're not allowed to do that. So that doesn't really make sense to me to do that. Even though I've seen DJs who actually offer like entire music collections. But again, I'm pretty sure that's not legal. So that's why I've never done it and I don't offer it. Lebo Gang, if I'm pronouncing that right. What are your thoughts on the Rain 1? Looks like a dope controller. Never had a chance to try it. Still. One day during this live stream, someone's going to ask me about the Rain 1 and I can give them a proper answer like, hey, I worked with it and it was dope. But just by seeing what it can do, I think it's a pretty dope controller. And I'm pretty sure, knowing the brand and what I've heard from other DJs who I trust. Earl Whiff, salute to you. Brendan Harris has just got me a pair of PDX 2000s. Man, oh man. I have a ton, and I mean a ton of experience playing with the PDX 2000, and I don't have them anymore. I went through 2 or 3 pairs, and I now still have my PDX 3000. So when they first came out, those were my tour turntables, and I've toured with those turntables for several years in a time when we were doing an incredible amount of shows. So I've literally done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows with the PDX 2000, and I absolutely love them. I have the 3000 now, really like them as well. But just because of wear and tear and travel, I went through a couple of pairs. It's not as if they're not built well, but in and out of flight cases, stages, planes, cars, you name it, that will have its toll. The weak point on them were the feet. And that happened to me a couple of times, that even in the flight case during travel, when I arrived at the destination, I would open the flight case and one or more of the legs broke off. So that was the little weak point. But I absolutely love using them with the straight arm, and they were super stable. I used to do tricks with them where I would like tilt the turntable sideways and continue scratching, and they could take a lot. They have the ultra pitch and everything. So yeah, man, I have great memories of the PDX 2000. Mac Joseph, Serato Tech needs to catch up to DJ AI and virtual DJ features. So Mac, could you name a feature that you feel is missing from Serato that is available on DJ and on virtual DJ? Dre, what's good? DJ Dre from St. Paul, Minnesota. Salute to you. Leon Billups, what's going on? James from the Philippines, I see you. And Larry says, if Newmark is coming out with another controller soon. I think the NS7 III has been discontinued. I'm pretty sure Newmark will come out with a new controller. I kind of doubt, even though I wish they would, I kind of doubt that they're going to do another NS7. You never know. Maybe they will. But since Rain and Newmark fall under the same in-music umbrella, and Rain has the motorized control now with the Rain 1, and even Denon, which also falls under that same umbrella, you have the SC5000M, SC6000M. So they have a couple of motorized units there. So I don't know if they're going to still focus on that with Newmark, even though in my eyes the NS7 is still like the king. That thing when it came out, I just have the Mark 1. That was just an amazing development for me. And the NS7 2 and 3 just up that level even more. Now, I'm not saying I would prefer an NS7 3 or over the Rev 7, because that's my favorite right now. But the NS7 series is incredible. It would be dope if they would come out with like a Mark 4. Just not sure. I'd have to think about that, what they would need to add to it to make it better, or quote unquote more of this time. So you could think about something like stem control and maybe a couple other things. But yeah, I have no idea if they're going to do that. Mac Joseph says, I use my iPhone to DJ. And I like Serato, but I'm bummed that my 1600 Rain 62 is no longer supported. Yeah, at a certain point, some devices are just not supported anymore. I mean, I still have my SL1, and of course, that was discontinued at a certain point. But yeah, I feel your pain, though. If you paid that amount for a mixer, and now, I mean, you can still use it with Serato, right? It's not going to get, or is it not? Can you not use it with the newest version of Serato? Because I have not checked that. Once you load a new track, DJ Temmie says, once you load a new track, if it hasn't been analyzed before, for example, try to take out vocals, the whole track would mute. Oh, okay. So what you meant to say was that the stems are not working properly if you have not analyzed the song. I think that's what you're saying, right? I could imagine that it would work best for the software to analyze the song first in order to have the stems work properly. So, yeah. I've not tested that, so it's something I'm going to test in Serato as well. See what happens. I mean, now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure I've added tracks to Serato without analyzing them first and use stems on them, but I'm going to test. And James, I appreciate that. All the way from the Philippines. I appreciate that. Tammy says the stems are analyzed and we would hear the instrumental only. Not sure how else it is. Oh, okay. So I misread the question. Okay, misread your explanation. So the stems are analyzed and we'd hear the instrumental only. Okay. No, I don't have an answer for that though, for that issue. Okay, so Mac Joseph, one thing you would like to see is EQ the stems and add effects to them. Okay. In what way? Because, for instance, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Like if I have a track playing and I take out the beat and just leave the vocal, then I can EQ that vocal and add effects to it. Or would you? So I'm not sure how, in which way you would want to see that work. And Tammy says to check if it's ready, I might load the same song to both sides and listen in the headphone, trying to take drums and vocals, etc. Yeah, I mean, I do that sometimes as well. Just check on the headphones just to see, or just to hear in this case, what the quality of the stem is. Because certain tracks absolutely sound horrible. It all depends on how the song was originally mixed, because at the end of the day, the AI that's allowing the separation is doing something by taking out frequencies, and sometimes frequencies overlap within the song. So a lot of the instrumentation might be in the same range as the vocal, And then when you take the vocal out, you can hear that a whole lot of the beat has been taken out as well. So it's proper practice to listen on the headphone first before you do it over the speakers. But I have to admit, sometimes I'm playing live and I'll just hit that stem without checking first. And yeah, sometimes you'll hear like, oh, this one doesn't sound that great. It can happen. Manix Monday Z, all the way from Dominica. Good to see you. And we got Renee in the building as well. Renee Sambayan, I see you on Facebook. I'm new to DJing and I was wondering what DVS system would you recommend? It must be something I can use in both the studio and on stage. Well, that basically works with all of them, of course. Like if your DVS works, it will work in the studio and on stage. I mean, I would in this case definitely say that you should test a couple, but my first question would be, so DVS, so with turntables and a mixer, right? Do you already have the hardware? So are you using a specific mixer? Because let's say you have different options when it comes to DVS. But for instance, if you would like to use Tractor only works with certain devices. There can be limitations to which software you can choose. I mean, I personally use Serato the most. That's just the one I prefer. Not saying that it's better. It's the one I prefer. But I've also used Tractor. I've used Rekordbox DJ, Algorithm DJ, and they all work. Now, they all have different features, but if you're just starting out, most of those more advanced features are probably not features you're going to be using at the moment. So it's hard for me to tell someone like, hey, you should go for this software. I like the simplicity of Serato compared to, for instance, Tractor. Rekordbox DJ is pretty similar to Serato, the way it looks. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to recommend. I prefer Serato. And Mac Joseph says, song suggestion and song request app need to be added ASAP. Great way for the DJ to make extra money in the clubs. Okay. I mean, I have my opinion when it comes to the whole request app thing, but that's just my opinion. But if someone would like to use that, I could see how an implementation in DJ software could be a thing. I'm personally just not a fan of that at all. There was one, they were doing a lot of promo on IG a couple of months ago. And recently I was approached by another brand who is coming out with one of those request apps soon and wanted to give me early access. And I have absolutely no interest in something like that at all. And I could never see myself using anything like that. But then again, the song request app, is that feature available in the other DJ software? Because you were saying you would want to see Serato add some of the features that Algorithm DJ and Virtual DJ had. So do they have that option? Because I haven't seen the latest Virtual DJ, so I have no idea if they have that. With Algorithm DJ, I'm not aware that they have that. DJ Shan says, still have the Mark I, the NS7, rock solid. Yes, and heavy as a rock. I moved it around a couple of days ago in a flight case. Man, that's a workout on its own. Memphis rap beats from Russia. My pleasure making that scratch tutorial. So I'm glad it was helpful. Earl Whiff has the NV2. That's Newmark, if I'm not mistaken. Can anyone think of a controller that also has two separate screens like CDJs? That's why I bought this controller. Yeah, great question. I'm not sure because that's the same one I would be thinking of indeed, that NV2. I do know, but that was also Newmark that they had for the NS7 II. They had that add-on screen, and I'm not sure if it's came standard with the Mark III, but that had like two little screens. But yeah, again, I think Newmark was the one that was really on that. Stream Element says, help me push the stream by slamming the like button. Is that an auto thing that I did not turn on? Okay. I had to like reinstall everything. So I'm still running into some things like, hey, why is that happening? Even with OBS, I had to reset everything. For the people who don't know, my entire studio computer basically, well, not died, but it was not working anymore. And I basically had to like reinstall everything, start from scratch. So every now and then I'm still running into surprises like, oh, okay, need to fix that setting. So now I'm seeing Stream Elements say something on YouTube that I've never seen it say before. But okay. At what point do we just stop updating our MacBooks and just stick to whatever version Serato can be connected to? So yeah, first off, always make sure you check before you install a latest update. Windows, Mac, check to see if the software you use is already ready for the newest operating system. So for me, with the Mac, I'm at least like one version behind. I like updating, but I'm gonna wait and make sure that everything I use works. Yeah, otherwise, especially for the production side of things, if I'm used to using certain plugins and now you update your operating system and all of a sudden a plugin that you used on half your beats is not working anymore, that's a hassle. Temi says, yes, exactly. So the question was if you know if there's a way to say once it's ready. No. And that's why it is good practice to just listen on the headphones to see if it's working correctly. Damien Chicago in the building. Happy Monday to you. And Anir says, I have the DDJ SZ2, but I'm thinking of buying the DDJ Flex 10. What do you think about it? That is entirely up to you. That's what I think about it. I mean, you have a full-size flagship type controller with that SZ2. So you need to just think about what can the Flex 10 offer you that the SZ2 is not. Because yes, there are different features on both devices, but not everything is interesting or useful to everyone. So the Flex 10, their newest flagship controller, a lot of features, a lot of options. Really like that controller. Played with it. Had fun playing with that controller. I don't know if it's a great upgrade for you personally. So that is something you have to put them side by side. Like, okay, what's missing on my SZ2? Is that available on that Flex 10? Then it might be worth doing it. That is how you should always approach upgrading your gear. Arm TV, what up, what up? D-Boy in the building, Amsterdam, what up, what up? And I struggled a long time with a wrist injury. I remember. In your opinion, what's the best height of turntables to prevent injuries? I want to make sure that I can stand up straight. So that's not really a wrist thing. That is a back thing. But I still to this day see videos of DJs playing with their set on a table that's crotch height. And now they have to crouch and like bend to do their set. Now, if you're doing one or two tracks, sure, you can do that, even though it's not the most comfortable thing. But once you play longer, that's gonna be a problem for your back. Now, when it comes to your wrist, that is something you really have to test out. Like for instance, if you're sitting behind a desk and you're doing a lot of stuff with a mouse, you want to make sure that you are sitting at the right height. The desk is at a certain height. You have to find that right position for you. It's the same thing with the turntables, though. Especially since you had that injury, I hope that you're going to be able to feel like, okay, this feels the most comfortable. So I'm not going to suggest a height to you because that might be the wrong height. That's really something you'll have to just test out. But first off, make sure you go for a set that your set is in a position that you can just stand straight while you're working. And then you have to take it from there to see what would be good for you. I see some DJs playing with their set at freaking chest height, which looks weird because it makes you look super small. And then you're basically DJing like this. Doesn't look comfortable to me. So I prefer to have it at a height that I don't have to go all the way forward to reach the decks. But yeah, you need to test that out. But you are saying that the injury is now finally over, finally healed. That is a good thing. Because I remember inviting you to come play. That was during an Amsterdam dance event, but that was, I think, 2 years ago now, right? And you were dealing with that injury then already. Mac Joseph says, yes, virtual DJ has song suggestion and song request. Okay. But algorithm DJ doesn't have it, right? That's what I said. I don't know the current features of virtual DJ. Nothing wrong with making extra money. Hey, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with making extra money. I just know for myself, I cannot play that way. That doesn't work for me. But then again, I know plenty of DJs who would or who do that. And I'm not going to knock someone for doing it. I just cannot do it. The Masters Groove Radio says Denon MCX 8000. Could that be an answer to the question of multiple screens? Because somehow now that I see that name, that does ring a bell that had the screens. Now I want to look that up real quick. Because I haven't seen that one in a while. Did it have this? Yeah, that had the screens indeed. Yes. So there's a suggestion right there, the Denon MCX 8000. It has the dual screen setup. So it looks like you have two CDJs and a mixer in the middle. So thank you, the Masters Groove. I currently do not own any DJ hardware or software at the moment. I'm currently looking around, checking reviews online, asking experienced DJs on their recommendations. Yeah, so here's the thing when it comes to recommendations, and why I'm always careful with giving recommendations in this case. You can talk to a DJ, even if it's like an experienced DJ, and this DJ might be totally sold on Tractor DJ. If they then tell you like, hey, you should go with Tractor because it is the best, then that's just based on their personal feeling when it might not be the best for you. Someone might tell you like, hey, Serato is the best. So I can tell you right now, like all of the major brands with their DJ software, it's all great software. It all works well. They just have certain features that are different. The UI, the interface looks a little bit different. That's why it's important to also just take a look for yourself, test it for yourself. You're not going to find one of them in there that's not good. They all work well. DJ Gons, I see you. All the way from Ohio. Mixmaster G says, best advice, say what you want to use it for, what your budget is, and what your aspirations are. Then you can get a useful answer or get useful answers. Yes, indeed, makes sense. And even then, still, I probably would not suggest specific software. But those are important things as well. Budget for sure. Because budget is most likely for a lot of you going to eliminate a bunch of stuff because there is incredibly, massively overpriced, expensive gear out there, which most likely will not fit most of our budgets. Even though that might be put on the list as the pro gear, some of that is just ridiculously priced. What do you think about using the MPC Live with Serato DJ? Combo DJing. Should we spice up the DJ scene or keep it simple and boring? Well, first off, you should never keep it simple and boring. That it doesn't even sound right when you're saying it. Why would anyone want to? But wait a minute. Are you saying that you are currently keeping it simple and boring? Because that should never be the case. It should never be simple and boring. When I say that, I don't mean that stuff has to be like overly complicated at all. But it shouldn't be boring. Funny that you say that, by the way. I was working here in the studio, cleaning up a lot of stuff, sorting out a lot of stuff. And somehow I ended up down the boiler room rabbit hole on YouTube. I didn't even check total sets. In most cases, the sets weren't really that interesting to me. And as a DJ, it is kind of hard to just enjoy music. You will start to analyze what the DJs are doing. But one thing I noticed with a lot of the sets that I saw was, even though the DJs were playing music that the crowd was into, most of the DJs that I saw looked so uninterested in what they were doing. And they were just not radiating any kind of vibe. So even though the music was cool, they made it look boring, though. We got K-Dub with the sub. I see you. Appreciate that a lot. So no, you never want to make it boring, of course. Do you need to spice it up by adding like samplers or stuff like that? That is all up to you. How are you going to use that? Are you going to be making like drumming beats on the fly? I mean, you can partially already do that with a lot of the controllers nowadays with the performance pads, but are you going to use that to do some beat stuff on the fly? It can add a level, but then again, you need to make sure that the crowd is actually noticing that you're doing that. If they're not paying attention to what you're doing, you could have 10 extra pieces of gear there, but if they're just dancing and not watching, then they might not even notice that you brought all that extra stuff. But if you can find a great way to use that, to utilize like something like MPC Live together with Serato DJ, to make your set different compared to a normal DJ set. Let me say that. It doesn't even matter what type of gear you're using, but if you can make it more interesting, sure, why not? And Raph has great advice when it comes to the wrist injury. Be aware of repetitive movements. That is the thing. Like I was giving the example of like the desk and your position. The most important thing also with that is just to make sure you take breaks, that you're not in the same position doing the same movement too long. Max Winner. Yeah, it took some time to get that PC sorted. Tried all sorts of stuff. Ended up just having to do a total reinstall from scratch. Everything off. Fresh install of Windows. Had to go. It took me like days and days to get all of the software that I use back on. All the plugins, you name it. But it needed to be done. And it's not a bad thing every now and then to have that fresh install. You just don't want to have it happen at a time that is not really convenient. And in this case, it was definitely not that convenient for me. But yeah, it happened, and I'm back. Earl Whiff says elbow 90 degree works for me height wise. Yep. But I'm not going to give any advice, because depending on that injury, like only the person with the injury can feel what's going to feel best, work best. Hit the like button to support the channel. It's much appreciated. I've never seen those before. Stream Elements on YouTube. I mean, I use Stream Elements. It's in the chat, but it's something I haven't activated. I need to check that. How to map Rev 1 to Algorithm DJ. I haven't checked. I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be some maps available. I mean, anytime I have to map something, I just do it myself. But with Algorithm DJ, I haven't really done that yet. I'm used to doing it with Serato. So I haven't tested. So, but I'm pretty sure that should be available online. There should be someone out there who's already doing that. If it's not compatible already. Like, I mean, I was using the Rev 7 with Algorithm DJ last week, and that was working fine. I believe in-person DJs are fading. I believe streaming DJs for events will be the future. Clients pay for the stream code, and you can have multiple gigs at once. What do you think? Nah, I'm not sure. I think having someone there will still add something for whoever's organizing the event. Just imagine you're organizing this special event. You're going to have whatever. Doesn't even have to be a very famous DJ, but you're going to have DJs there. And then you have everyone there, and there's a screen and speakers. I mean, at the end of the day, they'll probably still enjoy the music. But no, I believe there is a future for it, but I think it would be more likely for private events, smaller events, that it could be a cool thing. So, for instance, you could be a DJ, and on weekends, people, if they want to have a little party at their house for a small amount or for a certain amount, they can get that login code, and then they can have you in their living room while they have guests over and have a fun time. And maybe you're now the party supplier for whatever, a couple hundred homes across the globe where people just want to have a DJ for their little private party. But for a larger event, I don't know. Could you see that, like a full dance floor, and then people are watching a screen with a DJ on it? I don't know. What would be a cool thing is if we're going into like more of a virtual thing where people might all have goggles on, and now they're in this virtual club, and now they see this virtual DJ, and that's you, and you're doing that from your own setup. I mean, stuff like that could be something that happens, but I don't think it's going to be a replacement, or that streaming DJs will be the future. I don't know. I don't think so. Imagine, for instance, I'm not a mobile DJ, but wedding DJs. Could you imagine that for a wedding, they're going all out, they have this entire party, and then they have a screen with a DJ instead of the DJ being there, making the announcements, doing everything. I don't know. D-Boy was last year. Yeah. But man, it definitely took some time. That injury took time to heal, because that's indeed a year ago already. Lover 412. Yes, indeed. Corey, how important is scratching during your set? As important as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be done. So if you enjoy scratching, you should add it to your set. If scratching is not your thing, then you don't add it to your set. It's not a requirement at all. I feel it can add something to your set, but you have to do it in a balanced manner. It should not turn into a scratch show, especially if it's like a normal type of club setting. But adding that bit of cutting, I love doing it, but there's no requirement. So it is not important. Even though I can't live without it, it is not important. Mixmaster G says there are great tutorials to map with DJ. It's pretty easy. There we go. And I saw W coming across my screen. We got W in the building. Subscribed for 31 months in a row. Man. Appreciate you, man. And Gon says the streaming isn't ready for prime time. Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts right now as well. Like, I think it could be a great thing. And I've seen DJs do this during the pandemic as well, where they would do their stream. Now, this wasn't a paid stream, so it was open to the public. But then they would add like a Zoom channel, and they would have like a little screen, and then you could see all the people that tuned in from their living room dancing in their living room. You could turn that into something, and that would probably work best if you do it more locally, at least in your time zone, so it makes sense. So if it's a Saturday night and you're playing from whatever, 10 to 4, that works in your time zone. Probably not going to work as well in a different time zone, but then again, and you can offer that like, hey, for people who are not going to a club, or they're just having a nice little living room party, but they want to have music and not just play music or have a Spotify playlist, but have an actual DJ, and in the living room they can have a DJ on their screen. That could be something. But for the larger events, yeah, probably not. People, especially if they're paying a lot of money, they probably want to see that person there. I recently saw a DJ online doing a mix. Then I noticed he was using a pre-mixed track, but he was playing it off as if he was live mixing. Thoughts on a DJ doing that? That is actually great that you brought that up, because I've seen a lot of comments recently when it comes to this subject. So let's talk about that right now. First off, a lot of times I see people say pre-mixed track. I'm not saying you mean it in that way, but I see comments and they're saying, yo, that's a pre-mixed track, when in fact, and we have Sam in the chat right now who is really into that. I wouldn't call that a pre-mixed track, but they're playing like a special edit or mashup. So yes, that sounds like a mix, but a lot of people, when they see, I've seen it happen in the last week on YouTube with at least 10 different videos where DJs were using like an edit. And then I saw people in the comments going off like, man, he's not even DJ, that's a pre-mixed track, as if the DJ was playing that edit in order to fake it. So first off, that's not what I consider like a pre-recorded mix. Pre-recorded mix is something else. That's like you recording a mix, playing that mix, and then basically faking it. But I have seen certain DJs who do try to sell that pre-made mashup as a live creation. They are kind of faking it. So it does happen. But on certain occasions, I just see someone add a little effect during one of those mashups. That's just DJing to me. But in some cases, you will have people who basically fake it. Yeah, to me, that is exactly that, fake. I mean, sometimes it's funny to me. Sometimes it's a little bit saddening to see. But let's just forget the pre-mixed track. A lot of DJs are trying to oversell the fact that they're DJing when they're playing. So they are DJing, but the thing they do is pretty basic. They just do a transition and then the next track is playing. But because they have so much time on their hand before the next transition is up, they spend a ton of time moving all sorts of knobs and buttons. And they can't really use the buttons and knobs for the track that's playing, because then they would constantly be manipulating the sound. So what do? They're twisting knobs on a channel that's not even playing a track. To me, that just looks stupid, but I understand where it's coming from. They feel like people are watching them. They know they have like a minute or two before the next transition, so they want to play it off, and basically they're trying to do a performance of, look, I'm DJing. Yeah. People now have gotten so used to that happening that now sometimes they even accuse DJs who are actually mixing of doing the same thing. I've even been accused of doing that a couple of weeks ago in one of my clips, because I was playing live and I'm adjusting with a stem on the fly, and my hand goes back to that same gain knob like 10 times, and I'm doing like micro adjustments. You can hardly or barely hear it. And then someone's in the comments like, look at this, man. He's touching that knob, not even doing anything, these fake DJs. So a lot of people in comments are very quick to judge without actually having the knowledge to see what's happening. For the more experienced DJs, we can analyze a clip and take a close look at faders and knobs and everything. And sometimes it's subtle, but I can see what the DJ is doing. Like, okay, I heard that. It's subtle, but I heard that he's really doing something. That's obviously fake because it's the wrong channel. But sometimes someone's working and they're queuing and they're working on that jog wheel, but it's the one that we're not hearing. They're queuing up their next track. And I've even seen people in the comments like, look, he's moving, but nothing's happening. We don't hear anything. Like, you have people with no knowledge of DJing now judging to see if someone's real or faking it. That doesn't make sense. All right, enough of that. Let me scroll back because I'm pretty sure I missed a couple things now. Young kids are fighting against the idea of paying for music like mad. Young kids. Wait, did I miss something before that, Gons? Let me see. Maybe I missed one comment before that. Okay, I have to scroll on. Currently use the Numark Scratch, which is a great mixer. However, it's a little limiting with 4 touchpads and needing 2 hands for some functions. Looking at an older Pioneer DDJ SP1. Your thoughts? Are there other reasonably priced options? I have no idea about the current pricing. You have after the SP1, what was that second version? Something like the XP that had a couple more features, but maybe that's more than you even need. Because I understand, like the Numark Scratch, they kept it pretty minimal, and yeah, especially nowadays, 4 performance pads might not be enough. The SP1, I mean, I still have one. That was a great add-on controller. I used to use it a lot when I was DJing with like a DJ M900. So I had no performance pads. I would have that SP1 there so I could still trigger hot cues and stuff like that. But I have no idea what the pricing is. I mean, there are other devices that have like pads that can be mapped to work and do the same thing, even though the SP1 was specifically made to do that. So I have no idea what else would be comparable, and as far as prices, I have no idea nowadays. Vinyl Touch. Masters Groove Radio says nowadays the big arenas are forced into using jumbotrons for their audience to see. I can see venue owners looking to have just a jumbotron of the DJ out without paying the DJ for live performance. Well, they would still have to pay the DJ. It's not like you can just have that set in your venue for free, but it might be a better price than having the DJ actually come over there. I mean, who knows? We'll see. Maybe some venues will implement something like that. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to be up to the crowd if they care enough. But like, I don't see it replacing it. I don't mind using the pre-made mashup. I do hate the pretending as if they're doing it live. Yeah. Yep. So we can definitely agree on that, because I've seen a couple of those as well. Like, they're using a mashup that I've heard before. So I know that they're not doing it live, but they're really selling it as if it's happening on the spot. Mixmaster G says, I remember a great April 1st video by Mojax on the DJ overacting. I remember that one. He was, yeah. With like stupid moves on the, and some DJs really do that, right? Like every time they touch a knob, if it is useful at that moment or not, doesn't matter. But every time they touch a knob, after that, they make this really theatrical movement. So everyone, even in the back, can see that they touch something on the mixer. It looks crazy. They were hitting the cue pads on the track that had the fader out. Yeah. I mean, and we'll notice that. The crowd won't really notice that. Unless you're one of those people on YouTube now who feel that they're experts and they will point out who's fake without knowing anything about DJing. Stanley says, let them talk. I don't know about what that was, but I do agree. You can let people talk. Iceman says, you should be a teacher. Sometimes I am online. And that's why I love doing this as well. And this is not just teaching, this is learning at the same time, because I'm learning from y'all while I'm doing this. Gons, thank you. So it was the XP1, but that was record box only. And then the XP2 is Serato and record box. Got you. I just have no idea when it comes to the pricing and if there's enough added value to get that compared to like maybe a secondhand SP1. How do you feel about ripping hard to find records from YouTube, sound quality, etc.? I mean, I'm not a fan. I always advise against ripping YouTube tracks, but I understand your position. And when I normally tell people not to use YouTube is because you have people out there looking for a free main source of music. So I want to discourage those people because I don't want them to get their collection from YouTube when it might sound horrible. But I understand if there's like a hard to find record that you really want to play, then that might be your option. And sometimes they can sound okay. It's not like everything's going to sound terrible. So it could be worth it. I mean, I remember I wanted to use a certain track on a mixtape back in the days. That track was not out on vinyl yet. I'd only seen it on Yo MTV Raps like once. So the next couple of weekends, I had my VCR ready. I recorded it when it came on. And I started the B-side of my mixtape with that track, and I connected my VCR to my mixer to play that track off a video cassette because I wanted that track. Did it have the same audio quality as the stuff I had on vinyl? No, it was different, but like I really wanted that track. So I hear you, and yeah, you should. Nora Moss, I see you. Salute. And RMTV. With weddings, it wouldn't work. On the flip side, I seen a video 5 years ago, a teens party. A DJ was live, but everyone needed the headset on to hear the music. Thought it was cool. So that was like a silent disco then, right? I mean, that happens a lot too. Quote from the Mojack video that springs to mind. The surface of the mixer is pure lava. Yep, indeed. W says that's the problem in the dance scene. I mean, yes, it is. It happens mostly in the dance scene, even though with the newer generation, you now have people that blend everything like styles, and some DJs who play different genres are also now showing those same tactics. I see it more, but I understand that's definitely where you see it the most. Nora says, you've been very instrumental, no pun intended, in my journey in learning how to DJ. I want to thank you. And I appreciate that message a lot. I'm glad I could add some value and help you out, hopefully help you to become a better DJ. At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Like, I want to always get better, but I love to see and hear good DJs. The only way to do that is for DJs to actually share knowledge instead of like pointing fingers. Same thing here. We can have our little like giggles about like DJs faking it. At the same time, we should also be trying to educate to help people become better. Side picks or sip picks? My pleasure. Every Monday. So tune in. And Hector says, hey, all the way from Mexico. Aguascalientes. Nice channel. Any tips on dealing with DJ burnout? I lost my passion for music and DJs in the last year. Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I feel self-reflection is very important when it comes to that, because you have to figure out what was it exactly that made you lose your passion for music and DJing. I say that because I remember that there were certain moments during this like 30-year career that I have now. There were certain moments that something happened that triggered something in me, like a warning, like, okay, this is what I shouldn't be doing. So for instance, I did some corporate events. Some were a lot of fun, but then again, I also ended up at a couple of events, one in particular, and those events were paying a lot more than the club gigs. So it was kind of tempting, like, hey, they're paying way more than what I earn in clubs. But the way I had to play, the way the crowd reacted, so not in a way of a bad set, but like the type of people you had there was super corporate, people from all ages, not really interested in the music. First off, you're just playing background music while they're dining. That was cool. Then you're supposed to try and build a party. The only way to do that is to turn it into a really corny set. For me personally, I'm not judging any DJ who can make that work, but for me personally, I felt I had to play in an extremely corny way to get them going. And after that gig was done, I just felt like this is not why I wanted to become a DJ. This just took out all the fun for me, and it only felt like work and not even dope work. I was like, I need to stay away from this, because if I continue to do this, it might just extinguish that flame that you have within, kill that passion. I never want to see that happen. So for me, that was a clear warning sign. Like, okay, that is not for me. Need to stay away from that. So I cannot tell what it was or is for you. Maybe you were just doing too many shows. That could also cause like a burnout. I just know that a burnout can probably occur earlier or sooner, or losing passion can occur sooner if you're doing stuff that you don't really like. Like for me, I don't care if my career has already had like a bunch of ups and downs, as long as I'm still doing what I love to do. I don't mind, and I can continue going. But yeah, that's an important one. So that's really hard for me to say. And sometimes it can be something totally different that can spark that passion again. And maybe you actually need to step away from it before you can find that again. And it can be what can I add to this? Because I feel this to a degree as well. I've not lost any passion for music or DJing, but for me personally, in the scene here in the Netherlands, in the last couple of years, with how music always changes over time, certain things become more popular, other things not. The music changed, the crowds changed. So I also noticed that a lot of the parties I was playing at, I was not feeling that vibe anymore. I'm playing between like 5-6 DJs that are playing the exact same generic way. And then when I play my style, I look like the odd one out, and the crowd looks at you like you're the crazy one. Which is totally their right. If they want to hear that same, like, one entire set of 1 BPM, soulless type of mixing, and they get used to that because they hear like 5 DJs in a row do that, then they're not going to like what I do. So I was like, not really feeling this. So I decided to basically step away from that, only take on certain gigs where I know ahead of time, like, this is going to be fun. I'm being booked to play what I know how to play for people who want to hear that. Then that can keep that passion going. DJ Phil the Real, original DJ Breeze. Good to see y'all. Rico Radio, what's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. And so Hector, I hope that kind of helps you out. You might have to do some soul searching, but also like some reflecting, like looking back, like, was there a specific moment that made me say like, hey man, this DJing thing isn't really working anymore. I don't like this anymore. Mixmaster G says, with the rise of stems in DJ software, DJ edits become less and less required. Loops and stems are your friends. Yeah, I mean, especially for DJs who do not prepare their sets. Like, I can see if you prepare your sets, then edits can be useful because you want to have everything ready. For me, when most of what I do is on the fly, the stems are absolutely perfect for that. Steve Miles, salute. Let me check the time real quick. All right, we can go on for a little bit longer because I do really have to get back to work. Fresh fruit, I love stems. Yep, same here. I do have to get back to work because not only are the streams back after these couple of weeks where I had to just take care of a ton of stuff. Not only are the streams back, the content that was supposed to start running a couple of weeks ago when I did my first Saturday sessions, that is now also going to be rolling out. So you're going to have your Q&A on Monday. You're going to have a mix show on Thursday. Then you're going to have a Saturday sessions on Saturday, the interactive scratch sessions. Sunday sessions on Sunday, and I'm working on a couple of other things that you're going to see. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Just know that you're going to be seeing way more content. I have a strange question. Let's go. Have you ever had to deal with static electricity from your hands messing with your equipment? If so, what did I do to avoid this from happening? I'm pretty sure I've had it happen once somewhere, that I may have touched something somewhere before I touched gear, and then you get that little shock. But most of the times when something like that happens, after it happens, it's gone. And unless you do what you did the first time to charge yourself, it doesn't happen again. But no, I don't have a lot of experience with that. So yeah, that's actually a dope question, but I have no idea what to do. So like Mixmaster G is saying, like polyester clothing, that could be one of those things that might just cause a little static charge there. And yes, if all the electronics are grounded, it most likely won't happen. Brad says, man, what an epiphany from hearing you say that. I love DJing but hate doing gigs. More like enjoy doing sets. I don't promote myself anymore because of this and feel like I should hang it up after 30 years. After hearing you, maybe I should do small sets, and that's the stuff I enjoy and share or pop in with friends doing regular gigs. Brad, I would like to add on to that. That is where streaming is also incredibly valuable. For me personally, because I'm not doing a lot of gigs. I haven't done a lot of gigs in the last, I wanted to say like year or two, but you have to add the pandemic onto that. So in the last like 3+ years, I have not done a ton of gigs. I've still been DJing, but not like to a crazy extent. My last gig now is a couple of weeks ago. Next one is in a week. So I'm still doing stuff, but not like no residencies, nothing on a regular. That's where streaming comes into play. I'm DJing at least 2 times a week. Like I had my couple of weeks off now, but now I'm back every Thursday, every Sunday DJing. So first off, during your streams, you play what you want to play. That is the power of it for me. I don't have to think about a dance floor. I play what I play, and hopefully people can discover me there and like what I do, and then they'll come back to check me out, and we can just have fun. But I'm playing what I like to play. So that is a great way to have fun with your music. At the same time, it will also keep you sharp. Because the last gig I did a couple of weeks ago, that was my first gig in, I want to say a couple of months, but maybe I'm overlooking a gig. But let's say a couple of months. Because I've been streaming every week, 2 times a week, DJing, there's no rust. You're still sharp as can be because you're still DJing every week. You're just not DJing at a club. You're DJing from home, or in my case, from the studio. So it keeps you sharp. You still get to play, so you still get to light that DJ fire. And if something then comes up, you're already in shape and ready to go. Because before streaming, I mean, I've done streams in the past, but there was a long period where I definitely wasn't streaming, and I also had a period where I didn't play for a couple of months. Then I had a gig, and I felt rusty during that gig. I mean, of course, I can still get the job done. I mean, it is like riding a bike. It's not like I forgot how to DJ, but you're not really in that flow the same way you would be if you're out DJing all the time. With the streams, it's like, hey, man, if you call me for tomorrow, I've been DJing last week, this week, so I'm ready to go. So streaming is something you should definitely add on. W says Münster. No upcoming gigs in Münster in this case. But that, man, that's already a while ago. That all vinyl gig I did there. But I will probably be back though. I'm more part of the EDM scene, so I wonder, in EDM, the usual way to build your career is to produce music. How is it in hip hop? I don't feel they would need to be making beats to build a career. It is different. Now, you do have producers that also become DJs within the hip hop scene, or sometimes they may have already been DJs, but they got their fame mostly through the productions they did. And then their DJ bookings went up as well. So that can happen too. But it's not a necessity the same way it is with EDM. I do feel like for EDM, if you just know how to DJ, you're probably not going to make it. I know a lot of the booking agencies only take DJs on their roster who also produce, because the production, the music is the way that they can promote the DJs. More than the DJ and their actual skills, the music needs to be there. So for us, it is different. But if you are in hip hop and you also produce, then it can most definitely help your gigs as well. Fresh Fruit says, I've thought about that also and feel streaming allows for finding a personal voice more. Yes, 1000%. Can skip more radio hits and play what you feel is dope music. That is the thing. And you could see, especially when the pandemic started and every DJ started to stream, you could see that some of the DJs out there were using that to be like, oh, I can play this now, because they were so busy with all their gigs where they're basically doing the same thing. And for a lot of DJs, for a lot of us out there, if you're just playing like commercial spots, you're going to be playing the hits and you don't have a lot of room for experimenting. So with the stream, again, I stream for me. And if people enjoy watching it, they can come watch it. Now, could you build a more successful stream if you promote it to general public and play only hits? Maybe. But where's the fun in that? Because that's why I do this. This is that outlet. I can play what I want to play. So, yeah. And if you haven't found your voice streaming without having any pressure of, oh, I have to keep the dance floor full, that allows you to find your voice. I agree. Salvatruch, longtime follower. Yes. Salute to you. So how do hip hop DJs then typically build their career? I think it's more a thing of self-promotion networking. I would have to say. I mean, it's hard for me to speak, especially now. I mean, for me, it was coming up like actually just promoting myself with mixtapes, going out with mixtapes on actual cassette, selling mixtapes on the street, handing out mixtapes to certain people so that they can hear what it is that you do. After that, of course, mixed CDs. After that, online. So especially for DJs now starting out, I would still make sure that you have your electronic press kit, including music, online as a DJ, so that even when you're networking, you make sure that people just get that link so they can check out your page and hear what it is you do. Maybe also in video format so they can see you actually perform it. But yeah, as far as I know from all the DJs that I know, the hip hop DJs, they just came up starting with little parties, even with house parties, like actual parties at a house, not house music, but house parties. For me, the local youth center started playing there. Found my spot at a sort of like a bar where I got to play for free once a week. Did that for a year to get my experience up. Slowly build it from there. Now, Amsterdam is not the biggest city, so it's not that hard to connect, especially within hip hop, because hip hop is even a smaller community. It's more global and it's bigger now, more mainstream now compared to then. So within your scene, it would be a little bit easier to get some recognition if you were able to DJ and connect with people, and build that up over time. That was it for me, at least. Even though I never had that big dream of like becoming a DJ, I just loved playing the music. Once I got to play in a venue with big speakers, that was like, okay, this is dope. And hearing the crowd or feeling that energy from the crowd, that was like, okay, this is something I want to do more often. Not even thinking about I want to do this bigger. No, I just want to do this more often. I love playing at home, but when I go here, I get to play louder and I get this feedback. That was an incredible feeling. But yeah, you build it over time. I'm DJing a brewery on Friday for their Halloween party. typically speaking, what BPM range do you play for the first hour? So that is a question that is impossible for me to answer, especially because I have no idea what you're going to be playing. And so you're DJing the entire event. It's just you. If that's the case, let's forget about the BPM range for a second, because that's going to be different depending on the genres you play. But if you're playing the entire event, then you are the warm-up DJ and you're the primetime DJ and you close the night. You do everything. So if you are in your first hours, if you're playing, you are the warm-up DJ. At that time, you want to set that mood, create that atmosphere. You don't go out guns blazing from the first minute. So you don't start with crazy bangers. So it's more about the energy. But it's really hard for me to say like at what BPM that is. Even if I'm playing a hip hop R&B set and I'm doing the warm-up, I don't have a particular BPM in mind. Now, it might be a little bit lower. I'm not going to start at 105 BPM. It's more likely going to be that I'm in that 80, 90 range, but I might have some very mellow tracks that are 100 BPM. So I'm not really into the BPM. It's more about the vibe. So for that first hour, you probably don't want to be going absolutely crazy with the energy. So energy is way more important to me than BPM. Cypix, so yeah, I think networking is way more the thing. Yep. That's just it. And I see it now too when I see what's going on with parties. It's going to be a lot of who knows who and who gets to play where. And DJs might have their party and then they book another DJ with a party so they can play at each other's party and both hopefully build their fan base. Stuff like that. But again, you have had DJs out here as well within, like, let me call it the urban scene, hip hop, R&B, who were able to expand their fame a little bit more by adding production to it. The way they did it is they were just releasing singles and they would add like singers and rappers, and either they would produce or they would add a producer as well. So they weren't even really making the music, but they would release songs under their name. And I know one or two DJs and DJ teams who were able to do that successfully. And that definitely helped them to get bigger bookings because now they also had like hits. But that doesn't happen here for most of the hip hop DJs. So then you have to promote yourself and network for sure. All right, we're reaching the 8:30 mark here in Amsterdam, so I'm about to call it a day. Before I do, I want to make sure I thank all the people for tuning in. I want to thank you on Facebook. I want to thank you on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on X, and of course on Twitch. And I'll be back here on Thursday with Certified Bangers. So when I say back here for the people tuning in, my mix shows are only available on Twitch and Mixcloud. This particular show is available on a lot more platforms. So if you're not following me on Twitch, make sure you do that. And follow me on Instagram. That's where I always post and promote all of the streams that I'm doing. And for all the scratch DJs out there, I'll be back on Saturday with the Saturday sessions. So make sure you tune in for that. And yeah, thanks to all of you. Oh, no. See a question. Oh, yeah. And Mixmaster G is on tomorrow with his AMA. So if you already want to ask him questions about his new record box collection tool, you need to jump onto that. And I'm going to have Mixmaster G on this stream in the coming weeks as well. So yes, there's always content for you DJs out there. I'm here every Monday. Mixmaster G is here every Tuesday. On Wednesday, you have Tweak Music Tips. And on Thursday, you have Cleveland Terry. And on Friday, you have Tweak Music Tips again. So 5 days of DJ content in the live atmosphere. I saw a question. So real quick, let me get that question. Where is it? I've been scratching for about 8 years. I feel like I've gotten to a point of stagnation, and I can't seem to go full ambi on both decks. Captain Dugog, I feel you. And for me, it happens because I don't spend enough time practicing. I I feel if I would spend more time on it, I would probably see more results. But I can't speak for you. I don't know how much time you're spending on scratching. But for me, at a certain point, I just reached the point that, okay, this is what I can do. And there hasn't been much added to it in at least like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I know there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to my scratching, but I will have to properly practice. So I need to find time to do that. That's it for me, at least. Apart from that, I picked up bass, and I've been enjoying that a little bit more than DJing and scratching. What can I do to reignite my passion for it? And maybe that's a great thing. Like, you're stepping away from it for a second, spending time on that bass, which is dope, by the way, which is super dope. So maybe that's a good thing for now. And in a little while, you just jump back and do some cuts once in a while and see if that reignites it. But that's dope, the bass. Beyond that, I'm not sure. I can't give you more tips than that. I just know for me, it's time. I need to just practice more. All right, Fresh Fruit, I see you. Rico Radio, Fonz for you, Max Winner, all of you in the chat. Appreciate y'all. And hopefully I'll see you next week. I'll do one more for DJ Skip, and that's, are your thoughts on the Rev 5 the same, or have they changed? No, they're the same since the last time I talked about it. Really like that controller. I mean, it's not comparable to the top tier as far as features, but I'm just a big fan of that Rev layout. I mean, Rev 7 all day for me, but that Rev 5 was a lot of fun to play with. All right. Peace to all of you. If you want to talk more, jump in again next Monday. I'm here every Monday with this Share the Knowledge podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. All right. See y'all next time. Peace.